Join us right now on the Maps Rouse Hotline. So, pal Chris Miller from NBC Sports Washington. Insider covers the Washington Wizards. What's up, C. Mills?
What's good, guys? How you guys doing?
What's up? Doing all right, man. It's been a long time since you've been in an arena covering the game, huh?
I missed it, man, but I'm cool here in the man cave or in my office watching sports, man. I'm not trying to catch the Rona, so, staying safe.
Right.
That's true.
Do you even remember how to get down there?
It's funny. I literally went down there the other day because I had to record a documentary, ironically, on John Wall, right? So I drove down there. I was like, man, I forgot the route. Like, what street am I supposed to turn on to get to F and 6? So it's been so long, man. I think the last time I was in that arena, I think was March the 10th.
Right.
When the Wizards played the Knicks. It's been a long time.
All right, so let's
How
talk
you guys
about.
holding up?
We're hanging in there. I mean, I'm sick of being here. I'm ready to go wherever.
I'm not. I love where I am right here.
You do.
Love being a hermit.
I'll take getting up at 5:20 a.m. instead of 4 any day of the
I
week.
appreciate that. That's the one thing. I do like sleeping in.
So, Chris, you tweeted out where there's smoke, there's fire. Does this have to do with the John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade rumors?
No, I just burned some stuff back out in the garage last night. Just tweeted it out. I don't know why people are making the assumption that there was a. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Both teams have had conversations. I can confirm that, but I just think the timing of this is just off. Man, guys, the last 2 years, what have we been hearing, really, from Wizards brass is that they want to build a younger team around Wall and Beal and run it back to see if they can get back to that playoff form. And, to see the tweet last night from Shams Charania about, both teams in discussions, I just want to know what happened. Like, how did we get to this point? That's been kind of like my biggest question for the last couple of hours, reaching out to sources, just being like, how did we get to this point? Listen, the incident that John had in Brooklyn is probably one of the reasons why this is probably being moved forward. Although John has apologized for it, that incident kind of rubbed a lot of people within the organization the wrong way. And again, to John's credit, he admitted he was wrong. He wants to move forward. I think what's happened in the last
For those
years,
that don't
guys,
know, Chris, because I don't know that everybody knows about it because, it's kind of happened here during the pandemic. Not everybody's been following it closely.
Remind us.
Remind us exactly of what happened.
So John was at an event, I guess, in Brooklyn and was recorded throwing up gang signs.
Right.
And it was not a good look. Again, I don't make any excuses for it. But the fact that John admitted, yes, I had a moment where a lapse in judgment. So that was kind of where I think all of this is kind of coming from. And then plus you have to remember, too, in the last 2 years, what's happened with John being gone. Bradley Beal has become, in my opinion, an all-NBA type superstar. And what we saw last year with his ability to score the basketball at a high rate, and I think his leadership has grown. Brad is naturally a quiet young man, but he has really grown into that leadership role. And Tommy Shepard has said in the last couple of press availabilities that this team is moving forward, building around Brad. Now you're seeing why those conversations with Houston and Washington have happened now, because I think that the organization is ready to kind of hand Brad the keys to the franchise.
Now, I want to follow up on that. So when you say that didn't sit well with the organization, I totally get it. Basically what you're saying is that didn't sit well with Tommy and with Ted, right? I mean, who else could it be?
Correct. Those two were not happy about that from what I've been told. And, again, none of us walk on the earth perfect, but
Correct.
That was not a good look on his part.
Right. And so then but I just assumed, I don't doubt that at all. So that suddenly opened the floodgates where they were more open to trading John than before? Or is this just a situation where, hey, Westbrook wants out and we're just going to call them back? You know what I mean? How did this particular conversation, if you had to guess, go down?
I mean, I guess it would be pretty much the perfect storm of events. The fact that Westbrook would be available, they have matching contracts. And them looking at potentially a fresh start. Again, I'm still looking at the timing of this. Here's the thing that I still go back to, guys. John Wall, on the court at least, I'm just talking about on the court at least, has rehabbed, got himself ready to play. If there was a game today, he'd be starting. Okay, and he would be playing. I think from the videos and from the people that I've talked to that has watched him progress through this Achilles injury, says this guy hasn't lost a step. And in fact, he has improved his jump shot, which is something I think we've talked about for the last 10 years. If he could add that to his bag, he would be a really, really unstoppable force in the league. So on the court, he's done what he is supposed to do to get himself ready to come back after missing the last 2 years. So that's the kind of the part where the rubber meets the road with me on just the timing of this.
What Chris, about getting back to your earlier point, does it rankle John Wall that Bradley Beal has become basically the centerpiece? He's become the alpha while John Wall has been sidelined. And would he welcome a change of scenery if he was dealt on draft night or beyond?
Listen, he understands what's happened the last 2 years. Okay, that's clear. This is it kind of reminds me of Gilbert Arenas and Larry Hughes, right? Like Larry Hughes was the leader of the team, but Gil was the face of the franchise, and they made it work. And I think now Brad has become the elevated leader, and I think John could fit into whatever role that they need him to. But if you're going to move him, then move him. I could see these guys running it back one more time. I do, and I know that I have a relationship with both of them. I want it to work. I'm like the marriage counselor that likes both of them. I like the husband and the wife, right? And I'm trying to listen. Y'all can both make this work, okay? But there has to be a meeting of the minds. I think at this point now that the genie's out of the bottle, I think for all parties involved, there needs to be a meeting. I know we're in the COVID era. Maybe it's a Zoom or something. But from ownership, management to these two players to figure out, listen, can we make this work one more time?
Chris, do you think that the sticking point right now for this particular deal is that Washington just doesn't want to give up what Houston is asking? Maybe it's the 9th pick. Maybe it's the 9th pick and a future number one. Because if they really just want to get rid of Wall and just start over and be done with it, why not just give Houston whatever they want?
I wouldn't give Houston that. Listen, I've said this a couple of times about when you make financial commitments to players like they have with Wall and Beal, you have to keep your assets. You have to keep those first-round picks. You might even have to buy like second-round picks. And I feel like then in free agency and in the draft, you can't be hitting singles no more. You have to be hitting triples, right? You make sure that you put really good players at cost around two players like Wall and Beal. Look at Brooklyn. So Brooklyn has Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. You guys know that they make a ton of money. But look at the players that are on that Nets roster right now. This is a team that without those two made the playoffs. They were a grit and grind team, and they had players that they had developed and retained. Karis LeVert. You look at Jared Allen. Look at Joe Harris. I mean, they have pieces around him. You have to do that same model, I think, in D.C. when you have that type of money tied into two All-Stars.
So you think it's going to happen or not? Based on the way you're talking, I don't think so.
I'm 50-50 on it. I'm
wow.
50-50 on it.
That's a pretty good chance. That's a pretty good chance.
If they're going to do it, it sounds like they're going to have to give up those future assets, though. I don't think they're just going to swap player for player.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at the other 50. Like, I wouldn't give up the assets. Again, as I said before, making my case that you have to keep those young, cost-effective prospects around a team like this. So I don't want it to happen. I mean, if I can just kind of put a commentary out there, I don't want to see this guy leave. He's given you 10 years of unbelievable moments, right? I just think there needs to be a growth maturity-wise on things off the court, and I think John is trying to do that. But again, like you guys fuss and fight, you guys are brothers, right? But at the end of the day, you make it work. And I think with these two guys, they're highly competitive. They have respect for one another. When John's mom passed, the first person that was there was Bradley Beal. So it's not like these dudes hate each other's guts. That's not it. It's just two alphas that are roughly around the same age wanting to be the guy. And for the last 2 years, The kid from St. Louis has grown into quite a fine young man.
Right. I wanted to follow up on how Ted and Tommy see it. Do you feel like it's irreparable, or I mean, did John, if you had to guess, did John speak to them and apologize to them in person? I'm assuming he did. I mean, are they just so put off by it that there's no coming back from it?
I don't think it's at that point where they're just like, we're done with you. I just think that they want to make it clear that we just can't have missteps like that anymore. It just can't happen. Yeah. And to John's credit, I think he realized, that was a bad look on my part. And guys, he's super talented. You guys know this. You've seen him play. And I kind of want to get off the court for a moment just to mention that this guy and what he has done for families and kids in this community should also be baked into the recipe of John Wall's career in D.C. Okay, it's not just the basketball side of it. This guy has changed people's lives by putting his dollars and time into this community.
Talking to Chris Miller from NBC Sports Washington, covers the Wizards. Before we get your thoughts on who they might pick tonight and who Chris Miller would take in the draft tonight, let's kind of look back at what they have. You're talking about pieces around them. So we're talking about John Wall and Bradley Beal. But what should Wizards fans take from last year's unit? You got to see Rui a little bit. He dealt with some injuries. Bertans obviously was a great three-point shooter. What do they have to work with?
Well, those two are really good pieces, right? I think Bertans is priority number one in free agency when it starts on Friday. I think something gets done with him pretty quickly. Rui Hachimura's development is important. Could there be a position change for him? Could he potentially play small forward? Scott Brooks said, at least from a defensive standpoint after the bubble, he saw some improvement there from his defense. You also have players like Thomas Bryant, who I thought got better in the bubble. I think he had a stretch of 3 games, guys, where he was the best center on the floor. And I'm going to tell you the 3 people that he went up against, and you're going to laugh, but Miles Turner, DeAndre Ayton, and he outplayed Joel Embiid. So he had moments in the bubble where you're like, he took a step. And then you have Troy Brown Jr., who I'm still trying to figure out if they know what he is. Is he a 3-and-D guy? Is he a backup point guard? What is he? But he is a skilled basketball player. So that's what they have in the offense. That is young players that they have developed that now, if they stay here, great. But because of the development and the work that Tommy Shepard and his staff and the coaching staff did of help developing these young players, now if you pick up the phone and you call another team and you mention one of those 3 players, I think another team would be like, oh, yeah, I like that kid. That kid's pretty good. And now you've got trade assets. See, that's what I'm talking about making sure you're hitting triples and not singles or sack bunts. You got to hit triples on these prospects to make sure that either you want to keep them or you want to put them into a trade package.
All right, so who does Chris Miller like for the Wizards to take tonight? You know what? Maybe we should have him grade our picks.
Well, I heard earlier somebody said Denny is the next Luka. Who said that?
Me.
That was Jason.
Me.
He's hoping that's the case.
No, I said he's a poor man's Luka. He's being considered the best player in Europe for his generation, just kind of like Luka was. I'm not saying he's the next Luka. He's not close to Luka. He's a poor man's Luka, but he is the best player in Europe.
I'm glad you cleaned that up. Okay.
Well, you know what? You didn't listen. Poor listening skills from Chris Miller. Well, go ahead.
My wife said that for 27 years. Yeah. I like Onyeka Okongwu, guys. The kid out of USC, for me, fits the need for Washington. I don't know if he's going to be there at 9. There might have to be maybe some moving up to see if you can get him. If the Wizards stay at 9, Devin Vassell is a young man that I know that they're high on. I heard one of you guys say that you like Isaac Okoro. Yep. Here's what I like about him. If the bus pulled up in the arena, his defense is so good, he'll start checking that guy as soon as he takes steps off the bus. I think he translates right away defensively, like him. I like Precious Achiuwa. And Jalen Smith, to me, is my dark horse at 9, guys. His ability to defend, rebound, block shots, and now all of a sudden in that second year at Maryland, where did he get better at?
Shooting threes.
Shooting the basketball from range. So if at 9 Okongwu is off the board, and if I'm still looking for that shot-blocking presence with a little bit of a jump shot with him, I might take Sticks at 9 because here's the thing. Can you imagine Jalen Smith now playing at Phoenix at 10 with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton? He's the perfect fit there. I think he works in D.C. I would love for him to stay here. Those are my prospects, guys. I'm more on the shot-blocking part of it than the wing defender or wing shooter. The Wizards could score. One of you guys said the Wizards could score with anybody in the league last year, and you are absolutely right. Defensively is where they have to get better.
Yeah, it's my guy, Chris Miller. You could be my consigliere when we make the picks.
Let's do it, man. Come on, let's go.
So let's take Tommy Shepard's gig.
He went with always
bet
bet against
Tommy.
cakes.
I like Tommy.
All right, Chris, great stuff. And you guys are all over it tonight on NBC Sports Washington, right?
Absolutely. We'll be streaming, I think, around 8 o'clock, man, on our Facebook page. Make sure you guys take a listen, and we'll have Tommy Shepard on. I think we got Scott Brooks. My guy, Jimmy Patsos, will be on with me, Quentin Mayo, and Wes Hall. Guys, appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, Mills.
Thank
Jimmy
you,
Patsos still the only coach to completely shut down Steph Curry.
Pretty much.
That's right.
Right?
What
Didn't
did
he
he triple
double
team
team
him?
him the whole game?
Yeah, just stood in the corner, and other guys just made layups all day. So dumb. But
Yeah.
it was,
Did
it was a good
they
bit.
still lose by 30?
I think so. It was a good bit, though.
He did some good bits. I still, my favorite Jimmy Patsos bit is when he did the fake handshakes. Remember, he got bitter.
Yes.
Like, I forget the dispute that happened between his team and the opposing team. But
Right,
the other
right.
team just walked off the court and he did imaginary handshakes.
Right. I do remember that. Hilarious.
And I think he sat in the stands, right, too?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. See a lot of bits.
He's wild. He's wilding.